about what is the regenerative innovation portfolio, and then we will move on with the expression of interest. So the regenerative innovation portfolio is a collaborative program that we launched 2 years ago in collaboration with Food Valley, and is under the umbrella of the World Economic Forum initiative. And our goal is simple. So we want to accelerate the shift of the to regenerative agriculture, and it's not just farm by farm, so will be across entire regions. And to achieve this, we are working on the portfolio in three key ways. The first one is the regenerative agriculture community that learns together, shares knowledge, and helps each other innovate. The second one is through collaborative landscapes in which we bring together actors from across the value chain to co-finance and run the landscape projects all over Europe. And the third one is through innovation tracks where we are going to test innovation solution, developing financial tools that will help us to unlock this transition for the regenerative agriculture practices. As you all know, shifting to regenerative agriculture isn't just about changing the farming practices. It's about creating the right environment for financial, for environment, and for the market support to make happen this transition. And it's not just only for farmers, it's for every actor of the value chains. And this is the reason that we are focusing three main pillars in this regenerative innovation portfolio. The first one is matching and supply demands. We help farmers to connect with buyers for their regenerative innovation product, ensuring market stability. The second one is the solution for ecosystem services. We measure and we monetize the environmental benefits for the regenerative practices, such as, for example, capturing carbon, improving water management, or enhance soil health. So, and the third one is the financial solutions. Is the transition of this regenerative agriculture practice can be risky and expensive. So we need to build tools to help de-risk this transition. So regenerative agriculture isn't one size that fits for all, and every region has different social, economical, and environmental conditions. And that is why we are working at landscape level approach, working with local partners who share the common interests and commitment in this transition. Our approach isn't just about local impact, it's about connecting all the landscape in Europe by sharing knowledge and working all together in these initiatives. So each landscape will align with around key crops, challenges, and opportunities. Will build local solutions with a shared vision and commitment between partners, and will connect with a wide network of landscape to share again this knowledge, learnings, and accelerate the progress. We have now over 40 companies engaged across 20 countries, showing that there is a moment and a strong moment for all of us working in this landscape and regenerative agriculture practices. And this is where we are working now. This is the map of our, let's say, current landscape. They are in a different stages. They are from the early feasibility stages to full execution. And for example, our first landscape is the Navarra 316 in Spain. And we are also working in the feasibility in a very early stage in Ireland and France. And I include here some crops, but we haven't decided because this will become from the feasibility study. We have also another landscape, also in early stage in the design phase for Netherlands, and the Poland, which is almost the second landscape, almost ready, and we are in the final stage to finalize with the design, also to sign the agreements among all the partners. So as I mentioned, our journey to escalate this regenerative agriculture started in Navarra 316 in 2024. And this initiative will support 80 farmers in making this shift of these transitions, and will measure key impacts like soil health, water use, biodiversity, carbon, and also the local economy. And why Spain? Is because Spain offers both challenges and opportunities when it comes to regenerative farming. And also, Spain is a complex farming landscape with a mix of cooperative, independent farmers, supply chains, and all of them, or all of these supply chains is fragmented. So it's a good opportunity for start with this transition in the regenerative agriculture. Also for climate pressures, so water scarcity is a growing challenges. So this regenerative agriculture can be a really key strategy for resilience, and also the collaborative effort. So this project is a public and private partnership, so bringing together expertise in finance, in farming, and innovation that support farmers every step on the way of these transitions. And to make a real change, we need to track our impact. And over these 3 years of this Navarra 316 project, we will measure success using key indicators, as I mentioned before: soil health, water use, biodiversity, carbon footprint, and socio-economic benefits. We also, this project will be our first pilot to test the SEA platform in a multi-stakeholder setting. So the data we collect will align with the SEA goals standards, ensuring that we have clear and credible results. And also this project has the power of a strong partnership and collaboration with Danone, Ecosystem, Cargill, and Intermalta from the Malta Europe group. This combined expertise in finance and supply chains and technical support to make this transition a success. So now, moving to the expression of interest. So we are excited to announce that we launched this on Monday for new landscapes for 25 and 26. So the applications are open from Monday to 15 of July, and we have included two opportunities in these landscapes. The first one will be single crop demonstrators for the implementation to start in 2025. And these are targeted projects focused on specific crops in the value chain, such as olive oils, grapes, or also wines. And this is ideal for actors that they are already active in the regenerative agriculture or ready to take the first steps for these demonstrators. So the second opportunity is the new landscape project. The implementation will be for 2026, and this is a more ambitious and multi-actor initiative, normally 3 years, but also flexible, can be even longer, and where different actors come to the table to work in this landscape with different also multi-crops or livestock or mixed farming systems. And there will be a wider, richer environment and social economic impact. So let's say, let's summarize: in the demonstrator is a small scale and landscape is a bigger scale. And what we are looking for projects to ensure a meaningful impact, we are looking that they have really they can demonstrate a strong regenerative commitment at the landscape level, that they are able to engage with the entire ecosystem rather than a single site. And also we are looking for projects that they are able to demonstrate or to show co-financing capacity or clear ability to leverage additional funding. Also, we are looking for projects that they are able to demonstrate a strong partnership with farmers, with supply chain actors and local community. So collaboration here is key. Or if you are not able to submit a consortium as such, at least you are willing to create a consortium with our help. Also, we are looking for projects that are able to demonstrate that they have measurable goals, for example, in soil health, biodiversity, water outcomes, and livelihoods. And also we are looking for projects that they offer scalability and the inspiration for the entire the broader industry in this transition. So ambitious projects in these landscapes. And who can apply for this landscape. So this expression of interest, there will be, this includes agri-food companies, off-takers, retailers, and processors that are directly engaged in sourcing, distributing, and transforming agricultural products. Also cooperative and farmers network that who are already connected with producers and can drive this change at a big scale. Startups and SMEs that are also the ones that offering innovative solutions and technologies, financial institutions, including banks, insurance, and others that can bring financial tools that is more than needed to de-risk and scale the impact of the regenerative agriculture practices, and also regional support actors such as NGOs, consultants, or even research centers, and these are more welcome for the single crop demonstrators for the first option of the expression of interest. And what are the benefits or what is in this expression of interest for youth? So the first one is the strategic support. We will help you with the facilitation, the planning, and the coordination to turn your vision and your actions into a landscape model. The second one, you will receive expert guidance from the agronomy support and training for the monitoring and evaluation tools. So you will also receive a scaling or have like a scaling potential with access to different partners, also the visibility of our European platform to help to take your impact further. You will gain also community access to join this regenerative agriculture community that I mentioned before, and also the industry recognition. So by taking part in this landscape, will position yourself as a leader in building this more resilient supply chain. Also, important to mention the evaluation criteria. So when reviewing this expression of interest, we will looking at seven key criteria. The first one is the feasibility. We want to see a strong capacity, clear implementation plans, and alignment with the local realities in each of the region in the regenerative agriculture practices. The relevance, how your proposal fits with the regenerative agriculture and how your proposal addresses specific needs in the region. So also the third one is the impact potential. We will evaluate the environmental and the social economic outcomes, as I mentioned. So for example, soil health, biodiversity, water, livelihoods, how you are going to measure your goals. And the next one will be innovation. We are looking for novel practice technologies and collaborative approaches in these landscapes. The scalability is also crucial. How this model, your project can be escalated in a wider change on a wider system, and also very important the funding commitment. We need to see in your proposal how much money you will be able to commit in these landscapes. And just to give you a little bit of rough numbers, we will be able to commit a co-funding of a minimum of 50%. So we are looking for proposal that put on the table or bring on the table at least 50% of the total budget. And as higher as better, obviously, it will be also part of the evaluation of the criteria. And apply is easy. So we will, to complete the application will be through the Salesforce platform, and the link is available in the guidance. And you need to include also a 2-page summary about your projects. every details and information are available in our website, in the Regenerative Agriculture Portfolio at EIT Food website. Also, if you still have doubts, we have this email, Regenerative Portfolio eitfood.eu, where you can ask any questions. But also, after this webinar, we will create a Q&A document that we will share with you and upload it in the website. Timeline for this, the webinar today, and the application will close on the 15th of July. And we will run the evaluation after this with internal and external evaluators. And by 1st of August, we will notify the short list of participants and start to co-design with the with the winner, let's say, with the selected consortiums. Stop sharing here. And asking Tina, do we have questions on the chat? And
Yes.
someone wants to, yes?
Yes.
Many.
I'm collecting them. Yes, there's many. I can start with maybe with the first one. I'm gonna keep people anonymous. Then, if you want to add anything to the question, please feel free to respond. One question was, how much is the financing from the EU in the Navarra case, and what are the other financiers and which actors got funding for which activities in this case?
I mean, yes, as I mentioned, so we funded the 50% of the entire project. So, for example, Navarra was about roughly 1.5 million. So the project was 3 million. So we co-funded the half of the project. So we are looking for consortium that are able to commit at least minimum 50% of the total budget of the project.
One question was also if there is a maximum to this budget that we can offer.
There is no maximum, so as I said, it's a half of the budget. As higher as better, I would say always. So if you can't, you are committed to provide more than 50%, better for everyone, let's say.
Okay. There was also one question asking if agroforestry qualifies as a multi-crop under the landscape option.
Yes, absolutely. And please, in your summary of the project, justify your crops, why, or your selected topics, and explain very well what are the roles of the partners and how you're going to move for this regenerative agriculture projects in these years. Also, again, the important to mention that we are running landscapes, for example, the Navarra and the upcoming Polish landscape for 3 years, but can be longer, can be more than 3 years. It's up to you how long you want to run the project, and also according with the budget that you want to put bring on the table, let's say. So it can be longer, obviously less than 3 years. It doesn't make sense in terms of to measure the impact because it's not there is no time enough. But for the demonstrator, and I should mention before, we are looking for projects with 1 year. So let me explain. So we will co-fund with you a duration of a project for the demonstrator for 1 year, and then you can continue and scale this project and convert, for example, in a landscape later in a later stage. So the demonstrator will be 1 year, where we will be working with you for 1 year and co-funding with you. And then the landscape, which is the second option, the bigger scale, will be at minimum 3 years. Otherwise, we will not have enough time to measure the impact of this higher or bigger landscape. I hope it's clear.
Thank you. One more question was asking to give more details on how we use the SAI platform to build our framework.
This is something that we can you don't need to, for example, to include it here in the proposal. This is something that we can work with you in the design phase. So now it's about to collect the interest and your expression of interest in running a landscape with us. But then once we select the consortium, the landscape, we will work with you in a second phase in co-design together and redefine the project. And then is when we put we bring the SEAT platform, for example, and the collaboration with them and how we are going to bring this platform into the project.
Mm. Thank you, Mercedes. There's more questions for you. If one question is if single crop proposals must be submitted also by a partnership of several organizations and farmers.
No,
And
single
maybe, yeah, maybe you can also together to this other question that says how formal do the farmer networks have to be also, if they have to be legally formalized in order to apply?
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So single crops can be a consortium or can be a single organization that apply for the single demonstrators. Let's call it single demonstrators. It's up to you how do you want to structure your project. Can be again a single organization that apply for a single demonstrator. The landscape, the multi-crop, must be a consortium. If you have a consortium, you apply with the consortium, at least you are willing to create a consortium with our help. And the second question was, I forgot.
Sorry. If how formal do the farmer
Okay.
networks have to be?
Yeah. Okay. This will be in the second stage, obviously, when we sign all agreements and all the collaboration will be an agreement and a collaboration with the farmers. Yes, but you don't need to bring now in the application stage. Not at all. But if you, yes, Alicia, you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I mean, the idea is that you have the farmer network, right? You have the relationships with the farmers. So I think that's the critical point here. If you have legal agreements with them or contractual agreements with them, you know, that's something that is worth mentioning. But the key is that you have those relationships with
Thank you,
the
Alicia.
farmers.
Very good.
Connected to this, someone is asking also if it's possible for NGOs to apply for a landscape project as a part of a consortia together with other companies and stakeholders.
Well, if you find, we thought more in the for the demonstrator option, but again, this is quite flexible. I mean, if you find a role for the NGO, why not? I mean, you justify, you create your project, and it's about to find the role and about also who is going to put to bring the finance part of in the landscape. But this is totally open for receive different projects and with different roles.
Sorry, can I add to this question?
Yes.
Can the NGO, because sometimes the NGO is the connector between the off-takers and all the partners, can they also submit the application or not?
Do you mean like, for example, the NGO is the lead of the project with off-takers in the consortium, something like this?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
in a way.
why not?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
But it needs to be clear, like, because this is important to mention that needs to be clear what are the roles of each of the partners, and also the co-financing part. As I mean, if the NGO is ready to put some money, to bring some money on the table. I mean, this is something
Okay,
that,
so they also need to pay in that sense. They also
or
need
at
to
least
bring
they
the
need
money.
to be clear between the consortium who is going to put to bring the money on the table. This is something that maybe when you prepare the application and you talk with your consortium, make it clear. Okay, you are part of the project, but then you don't bring this money, but we bring the money and you bring
okay.
other expertise. I mean, it's something that needs to be clear because the 50% of the co-funding of the 50% of the budget needs to come from the consortia.
Yeah.
How
alright.
you split or how do you divide is a little bit flexible from your side.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Mercedes. One more question was related to research institutions. If they, because so research institution can receive funding for single crop projects and why such research institutions are only invited to participate in these smaller scale projects, and where can the funding conditions be found to apply to this?
Alicia, would you like to take this one?
No.
I'm happy to take it.
Yeah, I can take it, and then please, correct me if I'm wrong or weigh in. So research institutions, right? They are only allowed to apply for single crops because we see the single crop demonstrator being the catalyst for change. So, I mean, if you're able to, as a research institution, create a huge consortia with huge off takers, right? And really you feel that you could qualify for the new landscape, my answer would be reach out to us, because the reason why we set this parameter is because our relationship with research institutions thus far has been that they only have this kind of regional impact typically. So that's kind of the logic behind setting that different scope. One thing I would say, and this is where I want Mercedes to weigh in though, research institutions aren't necessarily beneficiaries of funding in this. If you're going to apply through the EOI, there are opportunities for research institutions to be beneficiaries at a later point through the portfolios. But if you're applying through the EOI, it does not necessarily mean you're going to be a beneficiary. So I think that's something we need to clarify in terms of, the way the funding flows. So I don't know if that makes sense, because we're still
Exactly.
expecting
Yeah.
financial commitment from the RTO as well.
Exactly. So maybe it's also important to mention that the co-funding, that the money that will bring EIT food into these landscapes will be, as we are working with public money, let's say, we will go through transparent and open goals. So will be for different activities within the landscape. Let's say, I don't know, farmer trainers or advisors, that we will run calls to call for third parties to help us with this. And this is where our money goes. The money doesn't go directly to the partners of the consortium, goes to the activities, different activities that we will co-design with you. And this is where EIT Food will bring the money through open and transparent calls. So during the project, we will launch calls to call for third parties to help with these activities, and this is where the money goes. Doesn't go directly to the partners, to any partners of the projects, neither demonstrator and no landscapes. So make it clear, because I should mention before.
There's one more question: if different EU countries are competing here against each other, and if can one country form only one consortium?
Not at all. I mean, we are open. The idea is to scale this regenerative agriculture practices across Europe. So we are looking for to start landscapes in more regions, different regions. They are not competing at all, and diversify the crops and that we are working on. And that's the reason, for example, we include now livestock and other crops, different crops, to have a diversification of the portfolio, and in terms of locations and in terms of crops, but there are no competition between any regions as such. And as far as I know, if it's not included in the guidelines, and it should be, it's more about the, for example, the Horizon Europe has this criteria that which are the countries that they can apply for funding, but it's exactly the European countries, and I don't remember now, Alicia, maybe you remember what are, is like the association countries of the Europe.
Correct.
So it's exactly that, the Horizon Europe criteria for applying for funding.
And one thing I'd say here too, you saw on one of Mercedes' slides that we already have landscapes developing in France, Ireland. That does not mean that we're not able to build a second landscape in France or Ireland or Spain, right? So don't see that as a disqualifying metric.
Also important to mention, I'm going to take this opportunity to mention, just remember things. We are also looking for, it's not about that you need to start from the scratch. If there is an existing already opportunity that through a landscape we can scale up this opportunity and make it bigger through a landscape, it's also important that to mention that we are looking for working with existing initiatives already on the field.
Thank you. And connected to this, someone was also asking if the landscape connected to the projects should be within the borders of the European Union. So if the same country, but also if within the border of the European Union.
Yeah, can the person clarify this? I mean, yes, or what does it mean exactly?
Yeah, it was me. Thank you. Could we join a country outside of the European Union to this consortium of this program?
To do the practice outside the Union, European Union. To make the practice. So
yeah, some of the practices.
It's a good question, maybe? But yeah. I would say no. At the moment, no.
Because the criteria is this horizon eligible countries. So I think that's where and I think, for example, Turkey is in that. So that's, of course, partly EU. But so you should check that list, the horizon eligible countries.
Exactly.
That's the scope.
Thank you, Karin.
And could the landscape be inside the same country in this case, for the landscape program?
It can be, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
There's a few questions on the cost and the funding. So one person is saying that 50% co-funding is very hard to achieve for a farmers group. And so what would be a minimum co-funding required for a farmers group submissions? And so if there is a minimum budget for a single scale project. So
both of the options is 50%, but it doesn't mean that okay, yeah, I understand. So, for example, if you have a demonstrator and it's only a single organization, which is a farmer group, and apply for this, it's hard to comply with the 50%. I think is that the question. But this is the minimum of this program is the 50%. So, Alicia, what you can do, and maybe I can say something else, you can bring another party in the consortium that help you with the co-funding. So yes, Alicia, please.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to mention is, if you looked at the Navarra landscape, it was co-funded by corporate partners, right? And they brought the money to the table, and then that was deployed and also into the farmers' pockets ultimately. And that's really, if you are an association and you're looking at doing this, I would try to engage more parts of the supply chain for your proposal. That would be my strong advice. That's how these landscapes are most successful. So,
yeah.
Connected to this, there was also a question if this EOM is done by individual organizations or whole consortium. So
repeat that one.
If this application is done by individual organization or whole consortia, I think I'm correct.
Normally, one organization, one person need to submit the proposal in the Salesforce, and if it's a consortium, thinking about the logic behind, you need to work with your consortium and draft the application, and one organization, let's say, will be the lead. But then when we start with the co-design, the project will be not as that lead as such, because we are working with the entire consortium at the same level. Correct me, Karin, is something like this? No.
I think you're right.
Well, I thought you were going to say no.
Okay. We have a few more questions. I'm trying to put them together. So
no problem.
One question was, how do we evaluate innovation as an evaluation criterion?
That is a good question. Karin, you want to help me with this one?
I think basically you should look at it in the spirit from innovation. This whole portfolio is set up from the view of how do we get regenerative agriculture to scale, what barriers to tackle. So any proposal or application that's able to help to get to scale and tackle some of the barriers many of us all face, is basically working on those innovations. So it could be innovation to scale, it could be innovation through innovative techniques, it can be in different ways. So you may also interpret this in a broad way, I would say, but take this objective of the portfolio as your perspective. So how do we get to scale, and what barriers do we need to tackle? And sometimes an innovation is in the type of collaboration, what parties are working together. And sometimes it's more technical, or, it can be in different ways. I hope this clarifies a bit.
Thank you, Karin.
Thank you. Still regarding the evaluation, someone was asking if there is any differentiation or weighting applied with regard to crop types, and if there's any limitation on which crops are considered eligible to support.
No, there is no limitation with crop types, and I mean, all the crops are more than welcome to apply for this landscape.
Thank you, Mercedes. One person was asking, she said she heard EIT is offering a call for proposals specifically on soil health, if this is possible, if it's something connected to this. Soil health.
Soil health. Alicia,
Someone
you
heard.
know.
I haven't heard of it, but we can
haven't, huh?
investigate. So let's put
Yeah.
that one on the come back to you list.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So one person was asking what are the unique points of these projects compared with other similar ones. This is also a very hard question.
I mean, the unique points, I mean, the difference between this expression of interest and, let's say, in the last year, is that we have two options to apply, one as a demonstrator in a small scale and one as a landscape. Also, I would say we are looking for mature projects and consortiums that they are applying, and no rather than single organizations. Although you are not ready to have a consortium, at least willing to create a consortium with us, or at least to include in your proposal who will be your partners in the consortium, no names, but at least type of organizations to run your project, your idea. And also, we are looking for proposals projects that they are building in existing, for example, projects already in the field, and they want to scale up. And this is probably the main difference. Any other reasons or difference, Karin, from the previous one? Or Alicia, help me.
Yeah, one
But
comes
I think,
to mind, but fine, go.
Go, Alicia.
Go, Alicia.
No, please. Well, I was just going to say the one clear differentiator that I see is that we really, really want you to bring a farmer network to the table and that commitment. So I think that would be my one message to add to
Yeah.
Mercedes' already very good answer is, yeah, we're looking for real farmer commitment.
Absolutely.
Preemptively.
Thank you.
And Karin, no, wait 1 second, Karin.
Please.
Yeah, I wonder if the question was meant this way. I think that's what was it meant this way, or did we interpret it differently? That's the question to the person that asked this question.
Yeah. Okay, I think if the person will have more doubts, we can he or she can talk to us.
Yeah.
There's we have still 15 minutes. I can go with one other question that says, if after proposals are submitted, if they're similar in regions and scopes, would we be able to establish a link between the applicants in order to explore joint efforts?
Absolutely. And in fact, in the proposal is written there like if you apply with a consortium, doesn't mean that we can maybe evaluate, when we evaluate all the proposals, that they are connected. We can talk with both proposals, talk with partners, and maybe merge both the proposals. Or, I mean, when you apply with a consortium, doesn't mean that it's a closed consortium. We can also help you to create a bigger consortium, bigger project, or something in the design phase. So absolutely can happen that we find two proposals, the same region, same crops, or similarities, that we can really connect both. Absolutely.
Maybe I can add to this, because we did a call for expressions of interest last year, and then actually this happened. There were really many proposals for similar areas. And one of the things we now try to do in, for example, the north of France, is connect different initiatives that exist there to see, okay, how can we scale up, to align all those initiatives that is a pretty complex factor, but how can we scale up to build on one another, learn from one another? And that's actually the project we're trying to set up right there now, which is very different than the Spanish Navarra projects, for example. So we have these different options, and but it does help if you come with a clear plan on with whom you would like to collaborate, etc., or with whom you are already collaborating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. I think, I mean, there's a few questions related to the application itself. Someone was asking, beside the form, we have to submit a two-page summary of proposal if there is a specific format for this separate document.
Well, I cannot remember very well now the application itself. I don't think so. I think it's quite open for you to, quite flexible. There is the application form in Salesforce, and then plus you need to submit the 2 pages of summary, but there is no form. I don't remember. Do you remember that, Tina? No, I don't remember.
No, I think there's no
We
specific.
will check that and I go back to you, but it's clear, the information is very clear in Salesforce when you go there, if it's,
Yeah.
but we can go back.
There was also someone asking if we can share a PDF with all the questions for the application process.
I mean, as I mentioned before, we will create a Q&A document to upload in the website. Alicia?
Yeah, I just want to come in on this one because I had the exact same question when I went through the Salesforce journey. And there's action, this is good to note, when you go into the Salesforce platform, you create an account, there is a download button. So you can download the full application, look at it, think about your answers before you go and start submitting. So do take advantage of that. There's a download option for the application.
Exactly, and it's a good
upper
idea.
Right corner.
Yeah, to download and work with your consortium in the application, and then the lead of the application, let's say, take care of submit the application in a later stage.
Yeah. There's a couple of questions around the budget. So which level of detail should be presented in the budget estimation? And also if application should already have a quantified budget or this is defined during the code design phase.
I mean, I would say as much as detail as possible to really understand the project and the budget. And yes, if you can include the numbers, will be. It doesn't mean that we will really, then in the code design phase, we will work on this together, but at least an idea of your project and the budget that we are really evaluating in the process, in the stages.
Yeah. Someone was asking what kind of tasks are financed if it's only the activities and not the personnel is financed. If it's possible to finance the cost overruns involved in the implementation of the practices.
Okay, so the activity, of course, personnel is included in this because we need a program manager, for example, for the landscape itself. So all the activities you think about when you when you have to run this project for 3 years, then again, it will be a co-design phase. But let's think about for run a landscape in 3 years in regenerative agriculture, I need these kind of activities: farmer trainings, advisory, MRV, everything that you think you need in your project to run the transition of the practices, and you include it in the budget.
I hope this answered the question.
I hope.
There's also someone asking what are the steps of the co-design phase with EIT food team and how long it takes.
Well, this is a good question, and depends on each of the landscape and the complex of the landscape and the consortium. I would say the number of partners also, but in the co-design phase, we will run like a feasibility study of the area with the area selected and the crops, but also we will work with you in every part of the project and the budget, and clarify who the money from what activities is going to be like a co-funding and running by AT Food, what activities is going to be co-funding and running by the farmers, how we are going to bring the farmers to the table. Everything is in the co-design phase. Also to sign all the agreements and the collaborations between all the partners and the farmers will happen in the co-design phase. This can be a couple of months, can be shorter, can be longer. It's difficult to tell you because it depends on how mature and how ready you are with the project. So if it's a project which is a little bit in a very early stage, or even with no consortium, will take longer. If you come with a consortium already with a project, already with existing practices, already more mature, will be quick. So depends of the conditions of the project. So Alicia, I think you want to say something, no?
No, that was exactly my point. And to the other question about the comparison to previous EOIs, I mean, that kind of half-baked consortia concept, or, a half-baked project idea, we're really looking for that in this EOI. So just to really double down on that point, that if you're coming with something more mature, it will go therefore somewhat quicker.
And again, to clarify, so demonstrator will be to implement in 25, landscape will be to implement, the implementation will start in 2026.
Thank you. I can share a couple more questions about the consortium. Some people ask if the consortium can expand in the duration of the project, and also if the consortium can outsource some activities to third parties, for example, modeling or evaluation to some activities.
Absolutely.
It's two different
So
questions.
yeah. Yes, there will be opportunity for third parties, and for example, if it's that this is what I explained before, if it's some of the activities is going to be with our EIT co-funding, will be through, to select these third parties will be through open and transparent calls. About if a consortium can be expanded.
Yeah.
Expand. Well, this is a tricky question, I would say. So from the previous landscape, we know that is, I wouldn't say possible, but then there is an agreement already with the consortium. It's not easy, I would say, to expand. And also you need to find the role of the new partners and why we are expanding new partners. I wouldn't say no, but I would say it's complex, but I wouldn't say like not at all. Do you have any other opinion here, Karin?
No, I do agree. And I think basically where this becomes difficult is if you have, for example, contract agreements on volumes of certain products, etc. That's where it's pretty challenging usually. But of course, if you see you have to scale up or expand your project, I think it's much more feasible. So yes, I think it is very feasible, but please think well about this design, because it's always more difficult for parties that join later on to have an equal level playing field, basically.
Hi, so I asked this question, so just to clarify, if a new off-taker wants to join, maybe they can contribute however they see feasible. That could be even maybe financially, or even introducing a crop to a rotation system. But of course, the EIT budget will not be adjusted because there's already a contract. So if that budget from the off-takers together increase through time, the commitment from EIT itself will not change, right? On
Yes.
the 50%, 50%. Yeah. Okay.
And there's also to introduce another partner in the consortium. Obviously, you need to have the agreement of the entire consortium, and will be, I mean, it's take it case by case. It's difficult to tell you right now. I wouldn't say no. I would say that it's complex, but I couldn't say no. Karin.
Yeah, I would still like to add something. I think I can imagine that some of the project proposals that we will receive will be, for example, for 3 years, or a set number of years. I think that if you plan for the future and also after this, for example, 3 years, then of course it makes sense to look at other parties. So the commitment of co-funding is maximized from the AT Food budget. But doesn't mean other parties can come in then. So I think for the longer run, it makes all the sense to look at other parties.
Yeah.
But for this first budget, the amount set for or agreed with the portfolio, that won't change during the duration of the projects probably.
Thank you. We don't have much time left. I think I have the feeling there's a few questions still regarding budget. Maybe some parts we have addressed already, but I can ask this last question maybe for you.
And then we will, Tina, just to mention that we will check all the questions and produce this Q&A. So yes, bring one question.
So by the way, we will also share the presentation and all the information on our website. So there was someone that asked about this. Everything will be shared, and also the recording of the session. So the question was about the budget. If there is a minimum and maximum budget, and if the cost of regenerative practices that are designed, sorry for saying, the regenerative practices that are designed, I don't know if I understood this question. I think it was Pablo asking if these are also funded, the work of the farmers. Yeah,
it is not clear for me if also the practices themselves can be funded inside this program, apart from the design of them, but the practices that are implemented in the farms by the farmers could be funded.
Yes, I mean, there will be during these 3 years, the project will be implement the practices. So the budget is include the practices themselves. Yes.
Yeah, and if there is a minimum and maximum of the budget.
There is no minimum maximum budget. No, it's according with your project and the task or the project structure that you want to put there. There is no minimum maximum. Karin, please.
Yeah, maybe just to come back to the question on can farmers be funded question. I think it's maybe good to give an example in the projects we are now working with. We are, for example, looking at premium mechanisms to include that in the project, and it's not necessarily a premium mechanism. Can also be another way of basically compensating farmers. But that's a way, at least in the current projects, this is being considered.
Thank you.
And then there's like aside that, for example, payment for the data piece, etc. So these kind of things are being financed in current projects.
Thank you.
Sorry, can I just connect to Pablo's question very quickly about the limit of funding? There's no limit from EIT side as well. I mean, I think the previous call, there was a maximum limit or not. I don't recall if it's 2 million or not. But so if the consortium gives 5 million, then EIT will also give 5?
Well, this is a good, but very good point. Yes, and now I'm thinking about my answer. I would say a good question. So, because we were thinking about 3 years, and now I'm saying like this can be flexible, and you can apply with a 5 years project, for example, and then the 50% will be higher than what we thought. This is something that we will. I mean, there is no like any criteria that will be. Sorry, I'm blocking. I would say like if you apply with a project with 5 years, that 50% is more than what we thought at the beginning. The 50% will not disqualify you as a project. Let's say, Alicia, you want to help me here?
No, I was just going to say, let's double confirm if, like these numbers and put this in the Q&A, because I think it is a critical question. So
definitely.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there's still a few more questions, but we are running out of time. So I would say we will collect all the questions you sent in the chat and build the Q&A on it. Everything will be published on the website at the page of the Regenerative Agriculture Landscape. And I think maybe we can close it here. I don't know if
Thank you so much. No, thank you for your interest. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you, team Alicia, Karin, and Tina, for having me with this support. You have this email address where you can send your questions. We will upload everything in the website, and we are looking for your applications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.